Always remember, everything starts at the bottom when you're trying to get to the top. The top can't exist without the bottom, but the bottom can exist without the top. I tell people all the time, don't minimize your efforts because you don't think you're at the top yet. Be comfortable, not complacent at the bottom. If you're at the bottom right now, put in the work. But remember, you're the foundation. If the top collapses, the bottom's still going to be there. If the bottom is there and the top doesn't exist, you still have something to build on. So don't never be ashamed of the position that you're in when you're trying to rise to the top. If you're at the bottom, you won't be there for long.
Hey, what's poppin'? Jay? What's up with y'all? Caught me on my chores. You know, they think. Sometimes they be thinking. This nasty, it's dirty. Can't do nothing for itself without a woman. You understand me? You be like, oh, he frontin', he already had the camera rolling. And no, shout out to Rosalind. My mama. That's how she raised us. You understand? Oldest out of 6 kids. Domestication is what I do. You understand? But yeah, y'all know they spend the day with me and my man. No, Jay don't play. Jay got the camera rolling today. My man Floyd Money Mayweather's birthday week festivities. Whole lot of this and a whole lot of that been going on all week. Y'all gonna spend a little bit of time with me today too. And chop it up a little bit. Now, I'll be having a lot of conversations, right? One of the biggest conversations I be having, and I've been having it more offline than online lately because I really been committed to my 3 to 30 seconds can change your life. 3 to 30 years campaign. I've been so committed to that. Hold on a second. Hello?
Good afternoon. I got a missed call from this number.
Oh yeah, I was calling down to tell y'all to let Jay up, but you didn't answer.
Okay. Got you. Alright, Shabazz.
Alright, no problem.
No worries, brother. Alright.
Yeah, so I've been really committed to the 3 to 30 seconds campaign. I just believe it's so necessary for our culture and society, right? But a huge thing that's plaguing us as a people is these relationship conversations, man. A lot of people tell me, one person in particular, shout out to Shanice Day, why don't you talk about relationships like you used to? You give such great advice about relationships, and I guess I give great advice about them, and I talk about relationships the way I do because I done been in every type of relationship you could think of. I've been in a relationship where a woman loved me to death, would do anything for me. I've had those kind of relationships. I've had relationships with women I cheated on, women who cheated on me. Been in relationships with strippers, hoes, good women, not so good women. I've been in relationships with all types of women, right? And so I have an array of what I'll say experience. So when I be having these relationship conversations and I watch how a lot of other people talk, I just be like, yo, these conversations are not realistic. The conversations are not realistic because you hear a bunch of arguing. You don't hear a bunch of conversation. You hear a bunch of what a man's supposed to do, what a woman's supposed to do. If I do this, then you're supposed to do that. And if I ain't doing this, then you better not do that. And if you want me to do that, then you better do this. And it's like relationships are partnerships, man. Relationships are partnerships. And if you know your role in that partnership, all you're supposed to do is be expected to play that role. I'm a grown man. Now granted, I wasn't always a grown man. Once upon a time, I was a young man who was growing and I had to learn. So I think that's another part of these relationship conversations. A lot of conversations are being held by inexperienced people who only are speaking based on what they've been through. And that's why you had these conversations about, oh, men don't like black women because of this. Black men don't love black women. Black women hate black men. And it's like, nah, you generalize. You're taking your personal experience, more than likely your immature experience or your toxic experience, and now you're equating that to everybody. And these are the conversations that I be having. It's like, nah, if more people just stand back, assess your own personal situation, and look at life for what you're dealing with and for what you're going through, it'll be a lot less judgment of other people. It'll be a lot less expectation. But too many people don't like to look at themselves. Too many people don't like to look in the mirror. Too many people scared to be the problem. You can't be scared to be the problem, because if you're the problem, guess what? You're the problem. If you're the problem, you're the problem. And no need to be afraid to face it, because just because you don't want to face the fact that you're the problem doesn't mean that it's going to go away. So when it comes to relationships, man, it's like, are you giving what you expect? You hear this whole conversation about men asking women, what do you bring to the table? Not granted. That question in itself, well, what do you bring to the table? As a man, I've never asked a woman that. The only time I've ever had that conversation with a woman is when a woman was criticizing me as a man and telling me how great of a woman she is. But what she was saying about herself wasn't reflecting in her actions. So it prompted me to ask her, like, well, hold on. You saying you all this? You saying you this type of woman? Then why don't I see it? You don't put that on the table, because I don't see that. I'm not mad at it, because I've accepted you for who you are, and I like you for what I like you for. So these things that you're saying you're so great at, I don't even have those expectations of you, because that's not what this is. But since you want to brag about this being the kind of woman you are, and you have these expectations of me despite our dynamic, if that's who you are, why don't I see it? Because here's the thing. If I say I'm a solid dude, I'm solid. I'm not solid with conditions, right? So if I meet a woman and I'm dealing with a woman, I'm going to treat that woman like I like her. I'm not going to wait. I'm not going to reserve the best parts of my treatment, waiting for her to show me this, waiting for her to show me that. Y'all got to excuse me, like I'm really cleaning my house before I start moving around. So you see, I got possums, like I'm doing stuff. So just bear with me. Like this, y'all never really been in the day of the life Baz while I'm really doing what I do on a daily basis. So forgive the clutter. But as I'm not going to minimize who I am as a man. I'm not gonna say, well, I'm this great dude, but I'm not gonna be this great dude to you until you do this. Nah, I'm gonna show up. I'm gonna be me. I'm gonna give you everything that I am if I like you enough, and that's what we doing, and that's what you're gonna get. Now, if you don't respect that, cherish that, and receive that, if you don't, now I got to blow, because you're not respecting my handle. You're not receiving the man that I am. So you're not appreciating this, so this is not for you. But I'm never going to say, you'll get that part of me once you do this. You'll get that part of me once you do that. Nah, you're not being genuine. The woman that a nigga like me love is the woman who shows up, and if she's a great woman, she shows up being a great woman. She shows up being the woman that she is, not with reservations, not with, I'm going to do this, once I see you do that, okay, then I'm going to see you do a little bit more, then I'm going to do a little bit more. Nah, show up and be yourself. I'm not saying show up and get taken advantage of. I'm not saying show up overextending yourself. I'm not saying show up and let somebody use you. None of that. But if you are this amazing person that you believe yourself to be, then you have to be that amazing person. Because if you're showing somebody anything other than that, either you fronting or you really just not as amazing as you think you are. And this goes for men and women. Like, I hate that to see these arguments, that we be having on these podcasts and platforms about black men and black women. Like, we don't love each other? Like, are y'all crazy? Like, yeah. Unfortunately, social media have you believing that we hate each other's guts. But like real time, on the ground, 2 feet, 10 toes walking, everyday life, black men and black women hate each other. Come on, man. That's just not true. That's just not true. Do we need to do better? And when I say do better at communicating, I'm really speaking from the social media perspective and the social media space, because that's what's controlling so much conversation and so many narratives nowadays. Like in the real world, we see one thing, but so much is dictated and influenced by social media, you almost have to address these conversations equally from the real world perspective, and don't leave out the social media perspective, because social media driving so many conversations, right? So when you hear so much conversation about why black men and women don't get along, it's not that they don't get along. You see, actually, you have a bunch of strangers sharing perspective, arguing with each other. That's not black men and black women not getting along. That's a bunch of people who don't know each other, who don't really know one another's stories, and everybody just offering their collective, separate input. And then it turns into this big shit show. You understand what I'm saying? But like for me, like I don't get into those arguments. I don't think those arguments are even valid. Because I believe when people are dealing with each other and they decide to be in a relationship, if you know who you are as a person and you've concluded that I'm getting ready to go into this situation and I'm going to be respectful, I'm going to be responsible, I'm going to be committed, I'm going to be honest. If you go into it with that and the other person comes into it with that, like if everybody goes into the relationship with what they expect from the other person, dig what I'm saying? If you go into the relationship giving what you want to receive, things will be different. Again, it's like, are you bringing and delivering what you expecting? That's the key to a relationship. The problem is everybody wants everybody else to be what they want them to be, and they're not being that themselves. And it's never going to work that way. No, relationships are not going to be perfect. Relationships are not perfect because people are not perfect. So therefore, relationships can't be perfect. But I tell you what, if you want a recipe for guaranteed disaster, I'm talking about guaranteed disaster, failure, no communication. If you want those guaranteed things in a relationship, if you want it to be guaranteed to fail, don't have good communication. If you want it to, nobody's perfect, but if you want it to fail, go into it with expectations that you're not delivering. It's never gonna work. Never. I know people say never, but guess what? Even if it does work, it's working in toxicity. It's not working. It's not harmonious. It's toxic. It's toxic. It's the, some people have learned to operate in toxicity. Even some women are guilty of this, and men. I've heard men say this. Oh man, the crazier she is, the better the box is. They like that. She crazy, but the pussy good. Women, he's too nice. I like him, but he's too nice. He's not gangster enough. He's not rough enough. He don't know how to handle me. I need somebody to tell me to shut up. Why? Why do I need to tell you to shut up, baby? If you know you're talking too much, be quiet. Why I got to tell you? You know what? Some people operate in those spaces better. It's the craziest thing. And we do it as humans. We have these superficial hang-ups about ourselves. And listen, I'm no different. There was years ago, I'm thinking off the top of my head, years ago, I can remember a woman who really liked me, attractive, worker, hard worker, actually worked at the same job together, beautiful girl. And I went to go visit her and, some adult time, but before the adults started adulting, I saw that one of her toes was really short. Right? It was like a toe that wasn't like with the rest of the toes. And guess what I did? I stopped talking to her. We stayed friends, but I got turned off. Now, me the dummy, what if I let a great woman get away because of a toe? But you also reserve the right to like what you like. But again, we complain about no good women being out here. Women complain about no good men. But there are good women, there are good men. Can you accept a few imperfections though? Because again, we don't think about the imperfections that we got. We don't think about our imperfections. We don't think of, oh, you worried about her toe. Oh, Shabazz dressed nice. He always smelled good. He's a handsome guy, but that nigga got a big ass head. How would I feel if a motherfucker said he's cute, I like him and everything, but his head too big? Damn, baby, you gonna pass up on a good nigga because I got an oversized thinker? You know what I mean? So it's like a lot of the shit we complain about in these relationships, man, we do it to ourselves. Don't get it twisted. I think I'm awfully handsome, with or without a hat, because I rocked the baldy in the 90s with no hats at all, confidently. I just love hats. And I love repping the fam, you did. But all that aside, we all have our hang-ups. But relationships will be a whole lot better, A, if you kept people out your business. If you stayed out of other people's business, because karma is real, you always got your nose in somebody else's business. Somebody gonna have their nose in yours. The biggest problem that we are plagued with as human beings, and come on, Jay, we got hustle, man, and I still got things I need. Y'all forgive my getting I'm in the house and I'm doing laundry and shit. So, and I do laundry like a man, so I don't want to hear nothing. I don't want to hear no. Oh, you didn't separate that yellow towel from the black towels. I'm putting the yellow towel in here. I ain't got time to be playing with yellow towel. That yellow towel won't hit in with this black shit and these peach shorts. That's just shorts I throw on and go to the pool. But yeah, people, we say life is hard, but we make life hard. Life doesn't have to be as hard as it is. Life does not have to be as hard as it is. What we deal with in the world as people, and this is real, somebody gonna want to hear it. We don't do what we were created to do. We don't obey God. We don't obey God as men and women, as humans. If you think about it, every living creature, every breathing creature that God created does exactly what it was created to do. Birds fly, dogs bark, cats meow, cows moo, octopus do what octopus do. Everything do what it was created to do. Trees, nature, everything does what God created it to do, except our hard-headed asses. And the reason why the world is in the condition that it's in is because we are disobedient creatures. We don't treat each other right. We mistreat each other. In relationships, we mistreat each other as family members. We mistreat each other in business. We don't treat people the way people are supposed to be treated. You got, when it comes down to presidents and all of these things, people forget that these are humans. You have to put your faith in God. The humans are just the vessels. But if these humans, presidents including, if these humans carried out God's plan the way God said to do so, we wouldn't have the problems that we have between the citizens and government. That's just what it is. Now, does that mean expect things to be perfect? No, because things are not going to be perfect. Things are not going to be perfect. But people are too consumed with their own personal gratification. People are too consumed with what works for them. People are too consumed with what makes them happy and not concerned with what will help somebody else. Too often, not everybody is like this, but far too often, this is how people are. People don't treat people right. People mistreat people. People mistreat people, and they really operate. They really operate from a space of selfishness. They really operate from a space of selfishness, and they don't care about other people's feelings. They don't care about what other people think. It's all about me. So when you have these relationships that keep failing, you don't be asking yourself, people don't ask themselves, what did I do? What did I do? You done had 5 failed relationships, and not one time have you tried to change your behavior. Now, what time have you tried to change who you are? You always want to change the other person. So it's like, that's really one of the main reasons, not one of the main reasons, but that's like part of the reason why, you might not hear me talk about relationships as much as I used to, because the conversation has become an argument and not a conversation. It's become a back and forth. Now, I do be seeing a lot of people that be talking real talk, men and women, and it needs to be more of it. People need to adapt accountability and responsibility. That's what's going to help a lot of these relationships. Now, you have a lot of them, because a lot of women talk to me and you'd be like, well, I keep meeting these kind of men and I keep meeting this kind of man. Okay, maybe you need to expand or advance your search. All of us have it within us. Those of us that may not be, have medical conditions or mental issues, if you're not plagued by that. But for the most part, all the answers to our issues are within us. Most of them are within us. But do we go in there to get the answers, though? Like, do we go inside of us to get the answers? Most people, no. Why? Because inside yourself, for whatever reason, seems to be a scary place. But this goes to my 3 to 30 seconds. In 3 to 30 seconds, no, you might not solve a problem. But 3 to 30 seconds gives you enough time to get control of yourself. 3 to 30 seconds gives you enough time to say, hold on, I don't want no smoke. Hold on, I don't want to get hurt. Hold on, I don't want to hurt nobody. Hold on, I don't want to go to jail.
3 to 30 seconds give you enough time to step back. You might not solve the problem, but you may give yourself enough time to say, let me re-examine this before this go too far. It's the same thing in relationships. Yeah, even in a good relationship, you're going to have conflict. But for the most part, in the beginning of approaching a new relationship, especially, who are you? What are you doing for the betterment of the situation? If you just met somebody, and this men and women, if you just meet somebody, don't worry about what that person is going to do for you. Don't worry about what that person is going to bring. Show up as the best you. And you pay attention to that other person. And if that person is not what you're looking for, address that. And if addressing it doesn't change anything, then you move on. Ladies, stop having sex when you don't realize that this ain't where you want to be and now you're tied up emotionally. Men, stop spending your money trying to have sex. Then when you get to sex, she ain't who you thought she was going to be, and now y'all got this toxicity between y'all. Stop playing these games with each other. And I know I'm speaking from the perspective of a 56-year-old experienced man that's been outside off the porch since he was 17. So everybody is not going to grasp this concept and take this advice immediately. I get it, because it comes with growth and maturity. I wasn't always where I am, but I still have a responsibility to put this out there because somebody young might get it. It might spark the mind of somebody young and change the trajectory of the way that they think. So no, I don't expect everything to change just because I'm saying it. A lot of people my age and older and younger, but older still than the younger generation, they forget that we were once them. So they begin to talk down upon. They begin to talk at instead of talking with and talking to. And that's the key about communicating with the younger generation. That's another reason why there's a gap in the interaction between young and old. Because the older ones done got to the point where they think they better. No, you was a fool too. You was a fool once upon a time as well. You was an irresponsible man. You was verbally abusive. You was disrespectful. You didn't know how to treat women. You the lady, you didn't know how to talk to a man. You was loose at the lips. Like, we've all been there. So we take those inhibitions, those of us that grew into a better human and a more responsible adults, we're the ones that have the responsibility to speak to the younger generation and get them this game, get them this information, man. Because again, the relationship conversation doesn't have to be an argument the way we keep seeing it be on social media. Like, it doesn't have to be. It's an argument. And it doesn't have to be. If you are involved in a relationship that's not working, identify with whether or not it can be fixed. But the first place you start is in the mirror. Remove responsibility and culpability of the situation from yourself first. Am I doing this? Am I doing that? What am I doing? What am I not doing? Ask yourself that. And it's cool, because that's when you're going to start to get to the bottom of the problem. Because guess what? If both people do that, if both people step back and say, okay, what am I doing? And they identify with it and they own it. And then the other person does the same thing. You know what you're going to have? You're going to have two people saying, you know what, my bad, I apologize. Because I was doing this and I was doing, and the other person going to say, you know what, my bad, Now you have two people taking ownership of what they're bringing to the toxicity. So if they take ownership of it, what happens automatically? It dissolves. It's the same thing with how do we change the world? And I'm going to leave y'all with this. How do we change the world? We change the world by every individual who claims they want to see the world be a better place. All the people who claim they want to see the world be this, and they talk about disrespectful people, and they talk about people who do this, and they talk about people who do that. If we want to see a significant change in this world, The only thing that has to take place primarily and initially is everybody has to be the change that they say they want to see. I have to play my part. Jay has to play his part. You have to play your part. She has to play hers. He has to play his. If people will start to be responsible and accountable for their own actions, instead of trying to tell everybody else how to change, the world changes significantly on its own. But until we start respecting each other in relationships, friendships, business comrades, family members, if you're not respecting nobody, you can't expect respect in return. You just can't. And that's just what that is. You dig me?